like, "Kya?" And afterwards, he did 2, 3 more assignments, and then finally joined Room to Read, where he is Vice President Asia Operations, and he has been doing very well, and we are very proud of him. All his friends we are, and I think this is enough about him. And now we will start the topic. And so this is a very interesting topic, actually. Most of the times, the women talk about the parenting experience and how the birth of the child shaped their life. And this is like really cool that a man is ready to talk about his experiences of becoming a father. And but I just want to know, Deepak, like, why did you choose this topic? Like, why this? Like, you could have talked about Afghanistan, you could have talked about a lot of things, like, you have done so well in your career, but why did you choose this topic?
Thanks, Acha. Those were really kind words. and and yeah, and I'm glad that this is being recorded so that you're on the record of those nice, kind words. But yes, the reason why I chose this topic. So my initial talk, and sorry Ritesh for that, for inconveniencing you actually. Initial talk was, I think, about mentoring and leadership and stuff. That was last year, and we couldn't do that. But I think a lot has happened between last year and now. And my larger idea behind choosing this as topic was this is what me and my wife we talk about every day. Not that other parents don't, but then this is something that is becoming interestingly very, very, very deep topic for both of us. There are multiple reasons for that, and I'll come to that during this. My wife, Harini, she is a therapist as well, so which kind of brings in a different perspective to this. And both of us work closely with children. Me now more indirectly, but then she's more there. She works in early childhood education, and therefore this is becoming our child is also becoming sort of our window to the world from the way she is growing up. So therefore, this is the, I would say, the most hot topic for me. I did think of other topics as well, in the sense, let's talk about education, let's talk about leadership, let's talk about all that stuff. But then I found that let's get into slightly more mundane stuff and perhaps discuss more about it. And perhaps let's see how people receive it. That is also an intention here. Yeah.
So it's not mundane, actually, if you discuss it every day, right? And uh, I just want to know that, like, I know about your daughter, but I mean, for the sake of our audience, like, can you talk about when was she born, and, how was it for you, and how has been your journey about uh, fathering your daughter? Let's talk about your daughter first.
Okay. And uh, our daughter's name is Sia. We call her Sia at home, and her name is Sunishka otherwise. She's 8 years old right now. She was born in 2017, and both of us, me and my wife, we got married much later in life. So therefore, she was born when I was 41, and and therefore it was all sort of like it came with a lot of warnings. Let me put it like that. Now, oh, you're having this child so late in life, she'll she'll become an adult sooner than you think because you guys will not have energy left to play with her. Therefore, you will talk a lot to her. You'll make her mature and stuff like that. And there were a whole lot of sort of warnings and besides other stuff that were given to us. And but we are blessed with her in 2015, and ever since, rather before that, not a single day has been an eye opener, I would say, or has been a something which is, I don't want to use word challenging. I just want to make it more reflective. Every day has been more profound. Every day has been a mirror for both of us, and especially me. And yeah, so that's where we are right now. She's 8 years old. She goes to an alternative school in Delhi, and it's a Waldorf school. And she's a bundle of joy, and she's a force of nature. That's what I would call her. And yeah, and just I will lead this with one line. When she was born, uh, my ex boss, he sent me a message saying that welcome to this new world, and now you will have an entirely new connection with the future, which you were not aware of. The way you start thinking about future, the way you start thinking about everything, the kind of lens you would use would change, and that has happened. And everything has kind of changed for me ever since. So yes, that's where we are, and a little bit about Sunishka. That's what it is.
So what change are you talking about? Like ये बहुत आप जो बात कर रहे हो ये बहुत ही हवा में है हमें कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. So I mean just tell us what are you talking about? What changes are you talking about?
So okay, so both we are by nature we are introverts of sorts, in the sense we not reach out to people. We love our lives. We are happy within ourselves. We're not like in our previous place where we used to live. I think our neighbors didn't know of us, and we didn't know of any of our neighbors for that matter. So I would call ourselves as we are the lizards under the rock. We rarely come out, not even in the sun. We are happy there, hibernating and not interacting much and stuff like that. And then came Sia, which was completely opposite to the way we are. She is gregarious. She is very outgoing. She just blew the rock above our heads. So suddenly we felt exposed. We were out there in open. People knew us, and they did not know us as who we were, but they knew us as Sia's parents. Oh, ye dono Sia ke mata pita hain, or Sia ke parents. And this girl will go around prancing in everybody's house. And I come as during my childhood, I was a free ranging child per se. There's a lot of free range. I'm from army background, so the way I was brought up, there was no restrictions on where we want to go within the cantonment. So we could go anywhere and everywhere, which is very different right now in an urban city like Delhi. And Sia would challenge that. And at a very bare minimal, she would want to meet people. She would just wave at people from the balcony. She'll do all that stuff. And suddenly me and Harini, we were like exposed to something which we were not aware of, and we were not ready for that matter. So all of a sudden our doors were let open wide, and here comes everybody. That's how the change started. And then from there, it's there's no looking back. There's like every day we get to know something new. We get a lot of questions. We get a lot of stuff that we get to hear, and yeah. So therefore, it's that when I say it has changed a lot. It has changed in every possible way for me and for us, for that matter.
I mean, uh, you talked about your background as like an army kid. So I mean, can you compare like how was your life as a kid, or maybe how was your sister's life? Because a boy's life is actually very different from a girl's life. So can you talk about that? Why are you so awed by this whole experience? I mean, it is like it does being a parent actually catches us off guard. But how is it different for you? Why actually? Why is it different for you? Because we want to know how you were before as a kid.
Okay. So I have four sisters, and I always tell everybody that I grew up amongst women. My dad was in the army, so there was disciplined life, but at the same time, there's my sisters and my mother, and and I don't see much difference in the sense while growing up. I think all of us are brats of sorts, and there's a lot of freedom given. There's a lot of avenues that were there for us. But yes, discipline sort of external, because kind of you have to behave in a certain way. There's a certain decorum. There's a certain way you need to carry yourself and stuff like that. And And which is for me was like, okay, yeah, there's a certain way to do things, and that is the right way of doing things. At the same time, when Tia came, it was like, and therefore when I got married, my wife brought in her value system, which is very different. For me, getting beaten up was like, doesn't matter, you get beaten on a drop of a hat. Whereas what my wife got from us was, you cannot touch your child. You have to talk in a certain way. And I grew up all over the country. And we came from two specific cities. There's a whole lot of difference in the way we came together. And at the same time, so initially there was this first level of understanding, or for the lack of a better word, coming to terms with what our value systems are in terms of how do we raise a child. And then the journey started. So we are still in the process of discovering what are the things that we don't agree on, what are the things we agree on, what are the things that we together would need to take forward or work with and stuff like that. So all those things have been there. And with Sia, it's been I would say all my beliefs and all my sort of imagination in terms of how children should be or what is the right way of doing it, they have been challenged. And rather few of them, or quite a few of them, have been thrown out the window as well.
Hmm.
So I am now attempting to see myself as somebody who is now being slowly molded by the child, and not in a way that, okay, because I need to fulfill her needs. That's not the way. Molded as a child means what I see as my shortcomings, or what I see I as an individual lack or should have had. Should is not the it's good. But anyway, things I think I lack or I needed to have and stuff like that are now being molded by my daughter, which is what is making it sort of.
So you raised a very important and interesting topic, which is I think common among all parents, that you came with a certain philosophy or you were raised in a certain way where physical discipline or beating up was quite a common thing, while your wife, she came from a very different mindset. So I think this is a very common topic which causes the first fights between parents, and children grow up a little, that how do you want to raise them, like strict रहना है, lenient रहना है, मारना है, नहीं मारना है. These topics are like, I think all of us, all the people who are attending this, they would agree उनके घर में भी उनके spouses के साथ ये सारे discussions उनके हुए ही होंगे कभी ना. So I feel that uh, I mean, the current generation of parents, we are like really very scared of this idea of parenting. And we are also equally obsessed with this idea of parenting. I don't think our mothers or fathers cared much कि उनके बच्चे कैसे बड़े हो रहे हैं, उनको value system मिल रहा है कि नहीं, हम sensitive हैं कि नहीं. So why do you think this shift has, I mean, I know, I mean, you will not know it, but like, what is your idea that why things have changed so much? Why our parents were like so carefree and why are we so scared all the time?
I have a theory on it. I don't think my mother will like it, but we were five of us. There were five of us, and it's a big family, and therefore, different age group, and different sort of experiences and stuff. Whereas right now we are an ideal example of a nuclear family, only child, and we have nothing else to do but our child and our jobs. That's it. So, whereas therefore we are in the sense that the whole obsession with the child, sort of in the sense what the child should do, and somewhere it's also I saw somewhere surrogate fulfillment of desires, in the sense you're projecting your needs onto the child also happens there. So I think that is where the main difference has been. And I think in addition to that, कहीं पे मुझे ये भी लगता है कि so this is more in a self-deprecating manner, is that शायद ज्यादा पढ़ लिख लेना भी मुश्किल हो ही जाता है. दिल का ताड़ बनाना, बहुत ज्यादा सोचना, अरे नहीं, what are the psychological side of it, what are the philosophical side of it, what is social, अरे how is she going, why is she interpreting it like that, I used to do that a lot. I think my mother or parents, my father would never care in the sense, ye hai, ye aise karna. Like when we were growing up, the straight rule from my dad was, you shall not fail in the class. Number one. Number two, I should not be called to the school. End of story. And we were done. Right. So we ensured that I never topped, but I never flunked. At the same time, I we never got invited or called to the school. So I think I held my end of the bargain. Whereas right now, it's like it's very interesting. Also, I think the norms have also changed. We can delve into that later, but just to give you a bit of a glimpse into it, the school where she goes, it invites community participation. By community participation, by extension, the school would emphasize the fact that household, the home, is the extension of school, and vice versa. School is the extension of home. So, and that is what they would ideally expect. Not every parent is involved in the school that way, but we are. So for us, when she goes to school, it's not that she's like in a different space. For us, we know exactly what is happening and what are the, like they are helping us bring up our child. At the same time, we are helping them in doing things at home, which would help her grow and flourish in a school space. So I think the equation, the understanding this is specific to our case, I would say, has also changed a lot. My own understanding of what school should have been, where I also used to think that bacha school gaya, almost outsourced ho gaya, with पढ़ के बन के निकलेगा. Whereas school has to be very now, I do believe in it, that it has to be very closely intertwined with how your family is going, how your value system is sort of evolving over time. So that I see as a massive change right now. Although my mother keeps telling me, तुमने क्या बचा, तुमसे एक बच्चा नहीं संभल रहा है, आपने पांच बढ़ेगी. That's the way she would look at it. But for us, yes, unfortunately, we have only one, and that is where we are, and that is what we are focusing on at the moment, basically.
Deepak, like you have worked in education field all your life, and you have also traveled abroad. You have interacted with so many people, and what patterns have you seen? I mean, with the people uh, who are not in our country, like बाहर के लोगों में वहाँ पे कैसे होता है और हमारे यहाँ कैसे होता है, and as you said, there has been a major shift, in the way बहुत बहुत बड़ा shift हुआ है, like the same way that as you said कि फेल नहीं होना है और पेरेंट्स को स्कूल आने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ना चाहिए. इसके अलावा बिकॉज आई एम फ्रॉम एमपी, हमारे यहाँ ये रूल था पिट के नहीं आना है, पीट के आना है. तो अगर बाहर झगड़ा है तो बाहर निपटा कर आओ, घर पे उसको नहीं लाना है, एंड इवन लाइक फॉर मी बीइंग अ गर्ल, आई वाज टोल्ड द सेम थिंग कि don't come crying at home, sort out your issues outside and then come home. And this is so different now. I'm so bothered about my son is going to be 17 and I'm so bothered, क्यों रो रहे हो, क्या हुआ है तुम्हें, I'm so bothered about every emotion he expresses on his face. What is happening outside India? Like, do you know, like, do you have friends outside who tell you how are they, taking care of their children outside? Has the shift happened outside also, or is it a very Indian thing? Because like, we all are like वेल एजुकेटेड, वेल सेटल्ड, बहुत किताबें पढ़ ली हम लोगों ने, पॉडकास्ट सुनते हैं, दुनिया भर की किताबें पढ़ते हैं. ये क्या एक स्पेसिफिक इनकम ग्रुप में या एक एजुकेशन ग्रुप में ये हो रहा है, या इज इट हैपनिंग एवरीवेयर?
I think the question was broader. Sachi bolunga. So therefore, well, okay, let me make an attempt. I have worked with education systems across 10 countries right now. So I manage around 7 right now. But I think within the middle class and within the educated class, the struggles are similar. There's tremendous focus on what the child should be doing, what the child should become, not be, and what parents would want, what they feel is an ideal state or ideal future for the child. So be it and largely they look at it, okay, what is for the lack of a better word, what's the rat race, and therefore this is where we should go, and which is largely kind of linked to more material well-being and sort of, which is also, I'm not saying that's not right, but this is I find a very disproportionate focus on that, which is true. That is one aspect of it. The second aspect of it, I still work with children who were still on the margins. So वहां पे तो ये ऑप्शन ही नहीं, वहां पे तो कुछ और ही है कि बच्चा पहले स्कूल रेगुलर जाए, बच्चा स्कूल में जाके पढ़े और एज अप्रोप्रिएट पढ़े. So that's a different ball game altogether. And quality and all those issues, all of us are aware of that. So it also depends on where and what level we are talking about. That is one. Second, also I've seen a growing trend wherein we say, okay, बच्चे को सब कुछ आना चाहिए. So there's a very clear-cut schedule for the child, in the sense that आज गिटार है तो कल सितार है, परसों स्विमिंग है, फिर हॉर्स राइडिंग है, फिर ये है, फिर वो है, फिर मैथ की क्लास है, फिर कमॉन है, फिर ये है. My nephew and nieces, they are sort of going through the same. And what I figure out, तो फिर उसमें बच्चे का टाइम कहाँ है? This is what my struggle has been, and our struggle rather. And also उसमें फिर ये कि ठीक है, अच्छा कर लिया ये सब कुछ, फिर करना क्या है? Right, because every cognitive theory, everything will tell you, अच्छा अभी predictable नहीं है, अभी development भी आनी है, अभी neuroplasticity चल रहा है, अभी ये चल रहा है, अभी और बहुत changes आने हैं. But as a parent also, and I don't blame them for this, in the sense that that is what I think is the best for my child, given whatever I have learned and seen and the environment I am. That is one. Also, additionally, there is also concept of like, समवेयर मुझे ये भी लगता है कि ठीक है, स्कूल इज द प्लेस जिसको मैंने दे दिया, मैंने आपको पैसे दे दिए, अब आप मेरे बच्चे को सिखाओ. But that won't work, I think, in isolation. In the sense, you have to be equally involved, and especially when you read and when you see these things. आजकल जो हो रहा है, in the sense that the disconnect between the parent and child in terms of aspiration, in terms of expectation, in terms of future, in terms of everything, is tremendous and it's growing, and thanks to media is adding fuel to the fire. So all those things are there. So to me, I might have digressed a bit from your question, I think, but largely trend almost similar सा है. मैंने देखा, मतलब मुझे बच्चे को पढ़ाना है, अच्छा MBA करवाना है, अच्छा ये करवाना है, कंप्यूटर करवाना है, करवाना है, वो करवा के आगे सेटल करना है. Tackling is where I'm. How the child is going to figure out the other battles, which are mostly emotional and social, and at that level, वो थोड़ा गड़बड़ है. मुझे ऐसा लगता है. So that is where
I have a controversial theory about this thing. More and more women are getting educated. They also get to work. Indian society may eventually, when the child is born, they leave their work and they stay at home, and then the child becomes the project on which the mothers need to work. Like I could have had a good career, but I couldn't. But now I have this child, and I should do everything in my power to let this child get everything I can give and everything he can achieve. एक चीज जो you know that there is an IRMA girls group, and most of the times we talk about parenting and we talk about how to take care of the child, and नई नई problems जो आ रही हैं teenagers के साथ, adolescents के साथ, we discuss that a lot. Thankfully, we do feel that we mothers are a part of a community where we can discuss our children's issues. The good thing is, like, fathers are more involved in our generation than what our fathers were. But this I wanted to ask for a very long time, and I'm so glad that we are having this discussion. Do fathers feel alone? Do fathers feel lonely? Because mothers have a community, but do fathers have a community where they can share their fears or their concerns?
Baba. By the way, I did look up postpartum depression amongst men. So
men have postpartum depression. I didn't know that.
So apparently it is something which is evolving. And I think I relate to it. I suddenly felt useless after a daughter was born for X amount of time. In the sense, my role was providing. It was provisioning for things in the house. But then it was between the mother and the daughter. I was like on the periphery. क्या चाहिए? ये चाहिए अच्छा भी उठना नहीं करना है all that stuff. That was during that period. And I do believe that men do feel lonely, and it's very interesting to talk about this because there are groups now apparently where men talk to each other. And I think what is happening is also family as an institution is also changing and morphing and I would say evolving. So the whole concept of individuality and therefore being lonely at a certain level and with sort of where you are alone with your problems, it could be professional, it could be personal and stuff like that, they exist. And so therefore for me, yes, man, I do feel alone, but I have friends I can reach out to. The question is, do I have the wherewithal to reach out to them? That is one. Second, will they respond? Two. Therefore, is there enough trust between me and my friends that yes, I can reach out to them and I'll get some kind of um, advice is not what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a patient listener who may or may not give his views to it. Yeah, anything. Yes. So we do feel alone, I think. And also it's very interesting that now if our social circle is kind of completely confined to a great extent to the parents of our children. उसके अलावा मतलब घर इरमा के दोस्त हैं तो वो कभी कभी दे कम एज लाइक मून लाइटिंग बिजनेस ही है तो अचानक कोई दिल्ली में है तो मिलने चले गए यार एक मैसेज आ गया या किसी का बर्थडे अगर बाई चांस वो भी नहीं so therefore it's also very interesting that we are also joined by our mutual needs. So therefore like the parents of my daughter's classmates, they are my friends. That is one. Second, there are another set of parents whose kids have grown up, so they've gone through this so-called the phase. I do reach out to them. यार ये ऐसे हो रहा है and I'm not able to figure it out. Did you do it? Was it like मतलब एक थप्पड़ मारो और आगे चलो, or was it we sit with the child and talk about whatever is happening there? So this whole range. And yes, and I think I would consider ourselves to be very lucky, honestly speaking, that just adding some another attribute angle to it, which is both of us work from home. Both of us are in education. And I think we've been lucky enough to have enough resources and support in terms of close friends and mentors and guides. And that has helped us a lot. That has helped us sort of create a kind of environment that we aspire for. We are still working on it. But yes, the does seem pretty
this is an interesting point again. Like in your case, the system, because you work from home, the system is helping you to take care of your daughter. You have such policies at your workplace where you can work from home and take care. But largely, in most of the workplaces, this is not so. And the whole and sole responsibility falls on women. अब एक ट्रेडिशनल सेंस में ऐसे ही होता था like my mother used to take care of us, my father used to have no idea what's happening, fees, as you said, he used to be the provider. But now things are changing. Fathers are also getting more and more involved, and mothers also expect fathers to be part of the child's life or care, as we say. But it is causing more friction and more dissatisfaction. The mothers don't feel supported, and fathers को लगता है यार मैं अपने बाप से तो ज़्यादा कर रहा हूँ ना, फिर भी what's wrong. And this is like a very interesting space where no one is happy. No one is happy with the support they are getting. So we do admit that the support has increased. So I want to know as a father, as a man, that how, I mean, what is a father's perspective on all these things? What is a man's perspective on this? You talked about your personal experience that thankfully you had a system, you had mentors, you had friends who could help you. But what about other men? Have you because women know what's happening in each other's life in different ways. Do men know what's happening in this fathering life? कि दोस्तों की लाइफ में क्या हो रहा है? Are they fine? Are they not happy?
ये तो हमारा सीक्रेट कोड है, ये मैं लीक नहीं कर सकता. But jokes apart, I think, see, you have to reach this is what I think. You have to reach a certain point of equilibrium in terms of, I'm not looking out for jobs because I know my next job offer will be outside of India, and I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Not that I'm very proud of it, but
Mm.
at the same time, so there are certain pros and cons, there's certain give and take that you kind of settle for. That is one. Second, it doesn't mean that our life is hunky-dory. No, we have fights. We have tremendous fights on ideological basis on every kind of. The question is, what do we do with the fights? That is one. Second is also, I think this is what I've realized over time, and this is what I've tried putting things in perspective. अरे आज लड़ लेंगे, समझ में आता है मुझे. I have a lot of old people in my life, and I see their lives.
Mm.
And that kind of becomes, I'm not painting a very dire scenario, but that is what. So I want to look forward to that period. So therefore, if I decided today, this is the way I would like to go forward, or this is what I would like in my old age, the better relationship, conversations, and stuff like that. So therefore, I need to invest today. So I look forward to a life which is happy, which is open conversations, and which has friends in it. बच्चे तो emptiness syndrome is going to hit us in another 6 years, I think 6 or 8 years, depending on. But then question is therefore what I look forward to in future. And that is what I said when I said initially in the beginning of the conversation is that it's a connect. My daughter is in a connection with the future. So if I'm looking at now, I'm planning for everything from that angle, not like a paranoid, but more practical way, more grounded way. How do I plan for it? So it does not create much hassle or ripple in my life in the future. While keeping in mind that I don't want to be dependent, neither of us want to be dependent on her. She's only child. So that is how I see things. And yes, frictions do happen. They all Sharath is also in the conversation. But question is, what do we do with them? And where do we leave them? And so both of us, I'll honestly, keeping our privacy in mind, I'm the one who will linger on, who will stretch, like I'll think and think and think and solve it in my head. I'll take 10 days. My wife is like, let's decide it today because I don't want to carry it forward. So therefore, how do we come together? They're very at a very basic level. So therefore, and during all this, I'm critically aware of the fact that the child in the house who we think is not present is actually present in zillion ways and is absorbing like a sponge.
Yeah. Yeah.
तो आप जैसे ही वो सोचते हो तो थोड़ी रूह काम चाहती है कि भैया थोड़ा संभल जाओ.
Yeah, it is very scary that they are listening to all our conversations, and I don't know how much they are absorbing.
Yeah, we make sure that we don't fight in front of her. We do not talk about third parties in front of her. There is no TV in our house. Phone is very restricted. Everything is there. A lot of books though. But despite that, there's a whole lot of non-verbal communication. She picks up. She'll pick up your disappointment. She'll pick up your fears. She'll pick up your resentments. She'll pick up your. You don't have to say it. You don't have to verbalize it. And it comes out in different ways in her expressions, in the way she carries herself during the day or later during the week for that matter. So that's another angle. So that's a responsibility. And so when you look at it from there, तो ऐसा लगता है यार थोड़ा तो mature बनना पड़ेगा. तो बचपना ज़्यादा चलना नहीं चाहिए. So all those things mixed together is kind of bring a different perspective and therefore थोड़ा मतलब यथार्थ के धरातल पर उतार देता है थोड़े समय के बाद. तो एंड कहीं पर हम लोग भी लगे रहते हैं एक दूसरे को थोड़ा खींचने में. तो that also works. And I agree that there are the social fabric in the relationship between couples is changing because of both are working, that there are conflicting demands, there are different aspirations and stuff like that. And I believe that's the challenge or the beauty of it. And just to give you another example, for instance, thankfully not this school, but generally when we were thinking of putting a daughter in a Waldorf system, apparently there are few Waldorf schools, they will tell one of the parents will have to leave the job. if you really want to bring up your child well.
Wow. That's very traditional way of thinking, isn't it?
A very traditional way of thinking, but one of you has to be, and I'm willing to give my job. I keep telling you, I'm happy to be spent at home. I'll do whatever, as long as our basic needs are met. But it's Delhi, so it's just yeah, it's a different beast we are dealing with. Yes.
Deepak, like, I think your batch joined in 2002, and like since then, we sort of know each other. You were this quintessential North Indian ladka, I mean, I have heard you swearing in public, that sort of thing. And I'm, very, very much out there kind of person who's involved in everything and that sort of thing. And this is 2025, you're father of an 8-year-old daughter. Now, don't इसको हवा में नहीं लेके जाना है, concrete पे बात करना है. How have you changed in all these years? And नहीं, मुझे clear examples चाहिए. I don't want you to go philosophical. Tell me how you have changed.
This is kind of a judgment on our previous conversations. कि अभी तक आप हवा में घूम रहे थे, अभी आप नीचे
You are.
But,
No, it's not hawa. It's like you do get a bit philosophical. So, but because I know you, I know what you are saying, but for the sake of our audience, they don't know you, how you think. I know how you think. I know what you are saying.
So I think my level of adaptability is very high in terms of it has to do with my upbringing. जब फौज में बच्चा पल बढ़ रहा होता है तो या तो आपका the environment in which you are is in constant flux. I changed 5-6 schools. I have studied in different colleges. I have या तो आपके दोस्त बदल रहे हैं या आप ही जगह बदल रहे हैं.
Yeah.
One. दूसरा ये कि आपकी जो variety of friends and exposure है वो is tremendous. मतलब the amount of diversity that exists. So pros and cons दोनों हैं, which means do you make long-term friends or not? But thankfully, I think I had long-term friends. So from that angle, I think I'm also critically aware of कि कहाँ मुझे क्या बोलना है. हालांकि I do suffer from slip of tongue once in a while. Got to fix it up. And also, yeah. So, but then it also changes. But if I meet any close friend, वो है नहीं यहाँ पे तो ये तो मतलब it is just default setup with certain friends. It happens, and I think it's perfectly natural for it to happen. I don't want to pretend that I've changed a lot. I don't know. No, that's not the case. I accept the way I am. The question is, therefore, what do you want to do with it? तो वो चेंज हो गया है, उतना है, समझ है कहाँ क्या बोलना है, कितना बोलना है. तो शायद वो तो इरमा भी सिखाई देता है आपको कितना कहाँ किस हद तक आगे बात लेके जानी है. But yes, so yeah, a lot has changed.
I mean, isn't it like parenting? It makes us a bit more conservative than how we started.
No.
Right? Aren't you more conservative now, like more protective and
I might be more protective. मैं conservative नहीं बोलूँगा. मतलब there is a certain value system I have. He has a different value system in that. The question is, what's the meeting point? What's the sweet spot? That is one. Second, and it's very practical. दूसरा ये भी है कि ठीक है मैं protective बहुत हूँ, but that's the provider in me. अरे नहीं मुझे करने करना है, which is what I need to hold back. And also कंजर्वेटिव का सवाल ऐसा है कि आप किस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में किस वक्त कितना सोच रहे हैं वो कंजर्वेटिव है. अब मैं I have worked in the US, I have worked in Afghanistan, I have worked in Africa, I have worked in Asia, I have worked in Southeast Asia, everywhere. वो हर जगह वो डेफिनेशन चेंज होती रहती है. So what has happened to me in that context is that therefore my zone of tolerance, I would say, has kind of expanded. काफी कुछ देख लिया, and it is absorbed and it is seen from different angles. They are friends in different contexts and who are struggling with different kind of issues and stuff like that. So समय आता है. So अगर कुछ हो भी रहा है तो मुझे ये भी पता है कि इसका worst case scenario क्या है and इसका best case scenario क्या है. So वो दिमाग में जब रहता है तो इंसान थोड़ा बैलेंस रहता है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है. और अगर वो ना हो तो बाकी दोस्त यार हैं जो आपको खींच लेते हैं कि भैया ये तुम ज्यादा सोच रहे हो. That also helps.
Like just 2 days ago, I got to know that my son has got an Instagram account. And he doesn't even have a phone. He uses my phone and he had an Instagram account. And my first reaction was ki band karo ye account. And I was surprised with my reaction. इतनी parenting books पढ़ ली यार. And मेरा first reaction था बंद करो ये account. How could you do this? How could you do this without my permission? And then I realized, oh my God, I'm behaving like my father. His first reaction was band karo ye sab. So I'm asking you in that context, like suddenly, and I could realize that how scared my father was bringing up a girl
Exactly.
single-handedly. कैसे उन्होंने, how scared he was about everything. Like when I was growing up, and I remember like when I was 16 and लड़कों के calls आते थे, and it used to become a big issue. कि कौन है, and he used to interview those guys. वो guy बाद में बोलते थे यार तेरे घर फोन नहीं करेंगे. Your father, he asks us about mummy क्या करती है, पापा क्या करते हैं, कहाँ रहते हो, and all sorts of things. And I had the same thing at who are these friends on Instagram, friends, like, I want to know each and every one of them. And it was a scary, like, you suddenly see yourself in mirror and like your father is looking back and you don't like it. And, you thought you will always be the cool parent. So I want to know from you that in these 8 years, have you ever felt that, oh my God, or maybe in a good way also? Like mine was this a bit scary that why am I behaving like my father? But what about you? Could you, like, are you able to understand your parents better now? Yeah.
Okay, let me just divide into a few parts. Okay. At a very basic level, our constant challenge in the house, the point of fight between me and my wife, is that phone usage. I'm the biggest phone user, and I put a clock on my phone. Maximum usage in a day is 2.5 hours, by the way, but that is also on the higher side. So the idea is that how to get rid of the phone. She's too attracted to the phone. Every child is. I don't know. TV, there's no TV. She watches TV half an hour. But I know that her capacity to maneuver her way, like she's able to manage my phone better than I am, honestly. And she doesn't have a phone. So it's a fact. It's a brutal fact that your child will get access to everything and anything. She may not be getting it today, she'll get it tomorrow. That's one thing. Secondly is therefore, what is the boundary we want to establish in terms of therefore what is good and bad? I don't want to define it for her right now, but I know that our own actions will say a lot. That is one. Third is I hope for that she's able to share things with one of us. Instagram का account है या Facebook है, वो होना है. सवाल ये है कि if she's frank enough, open enough to share things with one of us at least, so that we know where our child is. That's our biggest. मतलब बाकी restriction तो फिर और मतलब क्या बोलेंगे उसको, बाउंड्री वॉल के अंदर का आम का पेड़ है मगर उसी आम को खाने का मन करेगा, वो तो नहीं करेंगे, बट वो ठीक है, that will happen over time. So that is one. And second thing is also, again, I might go a little philosophical here, but there is something that has hit me hard in the last couple of years, and which is again philosophical, is that they say that your child chooses you. You don't choose your child, if you look at it from Zen and Buddhism and stuff like that. And I've been struggling with that question, is that मैंने अपने parents को क्यों choose किया? So what challenges, what was my reason for that? And because you have a whole lot of, positive, negative, अरे मुझे ऐसे नहीं किया, मुझे ये नहीं किया, काश मुझे ऐसे करते, and all this stuff. At the same time, I'm able to look at the good things of it as well. Similarly, the question is, why did my daughter chose us, right? And that's a humbling question. So she's here for whatever reason, if you follow karma theory and all this stuff. But the larger question is, अच्छा अगर मुझे हमें choose किया तो क्यों किया? What is it? So is she mirroring something that I'm supposed to do? When honestly speaking, she does. She has challenged my every comfort boundary in the last 8 years. In every possible way. Like as I said, we were introverts no longer. We are still, but we are now exposed to it. My self-compassion, expression, my what are my triggers. She exactly knows what my triggers are. Now I can choose to be disciplined and give one tight whack and get things done, or I can look at it in a different way and then say, okay, this needs to change for us to live in harmony or for me to change. So all those things are there. So when I look at it and when I look at my relationship with my parents, I do realize that, okay, these were the things, these were the tipping points. This is where things change for them. This is where things change for me. This is how they brought value in their unique way, which maybe I didn't see 15 years ago. But that's a cycle I think everybody goes through. But then question is, therefore, if I'm able to see that thing happening with my child as well. And to me, kahin pe my ulterior motive is also, okay, how do I make that relationship more beautiful? So, और जरूरी ये भी है कि ये भी पक्का होगा कि there are biases involved, वो रहेंगी, but I'm not dying to solve them. I'm just aware of them. And then we'll see. So there's a whole lot of changes, but question is therefore how aware and how present I am, or we are as parents, to what's happening around us and what has happened with us.
Yeah. So tough. It's very tough.
Yes, very tough.
I mean, this whole parenting thing has made us introspect so much that I don't think we और चीज हम इतना shake किया है जितना so it involves so much of introspection and just think, why did we behave in a certain way? And as you talked about how our parents, why they might have behaved in a certain way, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a difficult journey. I actually I feel it's the toughest thing I'm doing. Like बाकी सब चीजें आसान है.
Rewarding. It is rewarding as well.
Yeah. It is. But it is tough. It is tough.
One of my classmates told me one thing. I don't want to name him here. So जब सिया पैदा हुई, काफी बच्चे तो बड़े-बड़े कॉलेज वाले जाने लगे. उसने बोला नहीं, जब तुम घर आते हो ना थक के और बच्चा तुम्हारे ऐसे गले मिलता है, जस्ट बड़े थकान चली जाती है. मैं अच्छा. अब मैं बोला यार मैं तो वर्क फ्रॉम होम करता हूँ, अब तो बच्चा स्कूल से वापस आता है. तो so the equation has changed, but I could imagine and I could relate to him what he wanted to say. Yeah. And but yes, there is a different energy altogether that the child brings in. So yeah, both are. It's challenging, but it's rewarding at the same time, I must say.
I think how much time we have? Yeah, we are close to 10 minutes, and would you like to wrap up here, Deepak?
I am okay. Yes, perfectly fine.
Want to take some questions from people who are around?
No, sure. If they have,
people on the call, if you have any questions, you can either speak up or post it on the chat.
I can see Rahul Khandelwal's, Gautam Khandelwal's message.
Is he typing to you one-on-one or?
No. There's a common message.
Okay. Yes, Rahul, that we commented, that banter we had before the call started. Gautam, sorry. Gautam bhai, you can unmute and speak up as well. You don't have to type. And anyone else who wants to ask any questions to Deepak?
Actually, not just ask. I mean, we would like, if
share also.
Want to share their experience, we'll be very happy because.
So Deepak bhai, my question to you. My children also go to a Waldorf school, and unlike you, unlike your case, I have a joint family, and we not just have a television, we have 4 televisions at home.
I can imagine.
And I am struggling to get my children off gadgets. And initially I was fine with it, and my take was कि यार हमने भी Donkey Kong बहुत खेला है ना, and slowly and gradually they will wean themselves off it. पर मुझे तो ऐसे लग रहा है that it is only increasing and not going down. So, what would be your advice on this?
मैं बोला था घर तोड़ डालो. That's what I wanted to do. So, so we have similar classmates and friends here who have similar issues. I think what has worked to whatever extent is two things. They involve their parents in the school. So that is one. Because then they get to know "Acha, kya ho raha hai," and stuff like that. That is one. Second is also your downtime with your children. So either you extract them out of that environment and bring them somewhere else, or the time you spend with them, sort of, which is your time in isolation. Not isolation is not the right word, in the sense your time. It could be corner of the house as well. That is where the changes we get to see, because in joint families, what I've seen is also a question of negotiating the boundaries with your parents, with बड़ा भाई है या कोई भी है, and therefore the question is, अरे हम तो ऐसे ही करेंगे, हमारा प्यार दिखाने का तरीका है, and stuff. So that's a bigger struggle for you than for the child, and it's also well rooted into this family system कि अच्छा नहीं है तो ये तो अलग जा रहा है. So it's also a sensitive issue. But to me, these two things, I have seen things changing. It's a longish haul, and but involving, educating, talking, and getting your time out. This is what I see as basic minimum steps, which I see. In our case, it happens because when we go out, but we have kind of control on it. When we go out, when like Sia's grandmother is here, so I know that they'll give her a phone, ले लिया उसने, and चल रहा है काम. But it has taken us quite a time कि भैया please इस वक्त मत करिए, please. We with folded hands we tell them अभी मत करिए. So they've also understood the value in it because they've seen the child changing over time, not reacting. They've also seen children who are overstimulated because of the media exposure and everything versus a child who is not overstimulated, and therefore how that child maneuvers his or her immediate surroundings and stuff like that. And that way they are pretty perceptive. But yes, it's a longish haul, and it's also negotiating the boundaries. So we can talk separately about it as well, but this is how I see it as immediate. I wish there was a Kunti type jawab to it.
Chalo, Deepak bhai, I have a 6 o'clock meeting. I'll get going. It was great
Yes,
listening
all
to
the
you.
best and good seeing you.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Gautam.
Bye.
Bye.
Jatin is asking why we don't have Harini on the call. She's teaching a course on the side. She's in the other room. Sorry, Jatin.
There's one more question from Pranav Deepak. Any comments on schooling? What are your thoughts on CBSE and ICSE schools with their current pedagogy, which is typically theory based? I think this is like a very apt question for you to answer.
आप लोग मुझे गोली मरवा दोगे, but सवाल ये है कि see, I don't have a strong opinion on it. Honestly, they exist. They will remain. They will exist, and they will be there. And they do bring in certain kind of exposure to the child, and they are meant to achieve certain things. Now, it varies from school to school, and varies from
Context.
context in administration as well. मतलब मुझे अगर स्कूल सिलेक्ट करना हो तो मैं मोस्टली जाता हूँ कि कौन चला रहा है. Is it a business house which is running it? Or is it an education which is running it? That brings in a whole different culture and value system to the school, even if it is CBSE, ICSE, or whatever it is. That is one. Second, ये कि ultimately बच्चा तो मेरा है. So I will not rely on the school in the sense that what do I want from the child? In the sense that basic aspects are fine, but उसके अलावा it's my child. I have to take out time and I have to invest in my child in terms of what I want from the school and what I want from my child, or what I want my child to gain from that typical school. And their current pedagogy, I find ICSE, I would for the child at that grade, I find it difficult. मुझे ऐसे लगता है यार इतना करवाने की जरूरत क्या है? और मजेदार ये भी है कि तो this is slightly sort of pessimistic point of view, but the pace at which our external environment is changing, I don't think education is keeping up with it.
That's
So which is where I think the main dissonance lies. So अगर ICSE में भी अगर कुछ हो रहा है, वो adaptability in curriculum is what I kind of look for, which is difficult because ultimately teachers भी उसी system के product है और school भी उसी system में operate कर रहा है. So as a parent मुझे ये लगता है कि therefore मेरी जिम्मेवारी और बढ़ गई है. It's not only मतलब मुझे पढ़ाना है, कमाना है, वो भी है, मुझे ये भी ध्यान रखना है कि therefore what is best suited for my child, which the school may or may not be offering. And I will not paint all the schools with one single stroke. And मतलब वो उसमें थोड़ा और रिसर्च करने में मजा आता है कि मतलब कहाँ डालना है, कैसे करना है. I hope I have answered your question, but this is where I am right now. और ये शायद सवाल मुझे फेस करना पड़ेगा 2-4 साल में, because that is the grade to which CR school is, another still 6th grade. Then we'll figure out. Neha has a question.
Neha, you can ask.
Okay. Hi, this is Neha from PRM 35. So I have a 4-year-old daughter, and like every parent of the generation, I also consume a lot of online content around parenting and generally around children. From and you have content on everything under the sun now on internet in terms of their nutrition or education or general home, the kind of environment you give them in the home. Somebody will say you have to deal with a situation like this, somebody else will say that there's a balance required, and of course then the dynamics of the partner, like what he or she believes and how you sort of have different opinion and you have to come on the same page. But what would your suggestion be in terms of what to consume and what not to consume? I mean, I know like it is a personal decision for everyone, but if there is a generic, kind of a filter that one should have, or a method that one should adopt while consuming the content. Yeah.
I think that's a good question. Yeah. We all struggle with it, and at times it has been pure serendipity for us. कि अच्छा ये channel, जैसे the channel I could think of hand on hand parenting, but then there are a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that. So we also approach it from the philosophy lens as well. कि मतलब क्या ये channels बताना चाह रहे हैं. अच्छा उसमें interesting चीज है कि I also treat them as shortcut methods. I would rather rely on a book than a channel. So, but ये books भी महंगी होती हैं, इसलिए we don't buy them also. So therefore I do a mix of both. And within this, we do take opinion. So एक मजेदार चीज ये भी कि आजकल सब parents इतना पढ़े लिखे हैं, they are all exploring. If you have a set of people, you can ask, we do ask those questions within the parent groups as well. ये ठीक है, ये नहीं है. ये पढ़ रहे हैं तो इसके बारे में कुछ ख्याल है, कुछ opinion है या नहीं. That works a lot. Hand on hand parenting. And there are a whole lot of books. So I can't. So we read different authors and different. I'll send you a few books names separately. I started my journey with a book called. I was going to give it to somebody. It's right here, I think. The Continuum Concept. That was before CA was born. And then the journey moved on. Continuum Concept is a very esoteric reading. It was tough reading for me. And but then from there it kind of moved on, and it will also, the channel or the content will speak to you. यहाँ से नहीं सोचने का, थोड़ा यहाँ से सोचेंगे तो automatically just speaks to you. हाँ ये मुझे ठीक लग रहा है. And it's also a challenge for yourself. It's not a challenge for the child. आपको लगेगा अच्छा नहीं यार फिर मैं ये छूट जाएगा ये. Just don't bother about that. Just figure out few good things, follow them. Figure out few good authors or just read them over time. Don't try to implement. Don't implement. Just create your own opinion and your own view on it, and then just see what feels good for you. Thanks.
That was a very good answer. I think ये अभी तक का सबसे अच्छी चीज बोली तुमने पूरे 1 घंटे में. No, but it makes sense. Like, just think whether it makes sense to you in your heart. I mean, that's wonderful. Yeah. No offense intended.
None taken.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have something from, yeah. So, yeah, Neha is asking, couldn't catch which channel you mentioned. And also,
it's a hand-on-hand parenting. अच्छा बहुत सारे हैं मतलब आप किसी का automatically everybody talks about similar stuff now. It's very interesting. And but then it also what extent to what depth you want to go depends on that as well.
If the audience doesn't have any more questions, like we would like to, wrap it up here. Is that fine with everyone?
Yes, Archana, you can go ahead and wrap up. I think of all the sessions I've heard, this was the most heartfelt one, where both questions and answers were from the heart and not from the logic and trying to define theories in a textbook. So I think thank you both of you for actually taking time out and making it so relatable. And I'm sure people in the call would have found some very important nuggets around and can pick them up in their own life. So I think it's the most difficult thing to open up your personal space and then share your experience out of there. Deepak, thank you for doing that. Not many people would have the courage to do that also. So really commendable effort, and I think this should get the highest likes on YouTube also when uploaded. Yep. Archana, Deepak, any parting words before I close the call?
Thank you, Deepak. Like as Ritu said, for opening up and talking about it, and yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for moderating and thank you for being such a nice audience.
I hope I didn't, trouble you much.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Good.
It's nothing compared to what you intended to do. So yes. Thank you.
Okay.
So thank you everybody for attending. We
Thank
did
you,
expect
everyone.
more than 8 people. We got 12. So thanks a lot for attending it and staying. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Happy evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.